Life without Jesus, it was basically, empty, and it didn't seem like there had a purpose. It was just basically living to get to the next day. Really, I was looking for something and someone to really connect to and have a relationship with that was permanent, and that wasn't just based on like how much money I had or which friends I had or all those other factors that fade away.
It was always the next thing, it was like I needed to go to the gym and become a more attractive person, or I needed to get a job so I can buy nice clothes, or I needed to convince my parents to get me a really nice car.
I was constantly looking for the next thing that would make me happy. And at that point, I was looking for attention from people at school.
For me, a lot of the time, I was just searching for ways to feel accepted in my life and answers to questions that I couldn't even really formulate in my mind.
I wanted satisfaction from every aspect of my life, whether it was school, sports, but especially my social life. And I wanted my high school experience to be what that Hollywood established, materialistic idea of what high school is.
For me, it wasn't as much of a decision, it was more of my only option. I felt that I was drowning in my inability to find acceptance and find what it is that was going to make me satisfied and happy with my life.
I really wanted something just to fill, that gap you feel when you don't have Christ. Whether it was, sports or friends, they would eventually end, and I would eventually still be alone.
It's always just about the next thing, I would lay in bed and be like, okay, tomorrow at school I need to act this way, I need to sit with these people, I need to talk to these people, I need to tell this joke, I need to make people like me, I need to, go find a way to get cool clothes or, figure out how exactly I'm going to make people accept me for who I am.
High school was very different than middle school. A lot of, the friends that I relied on throughout middle school and elementary school, they changed and they became different people, and it seemed like everything was just changing but in the wrong direction.
It just seemed no matter what I did, I was always alone, and even if I was hanging out with people or if I had friends that I was with, it still felt like I was emotionally empty.
I think people would have described me as someone they most likely did not want to be friends with, because ironically, I wanted their attention, I wanted their acceptance, but every weekend when I would do something else, it seemed to turn more people against me, give them a preconception of who I really was, when that actually wasn't who I was. I knew that, but they didn't know that at all.
People would describe me then not much different than I am now. I was still always smiling and enthusiastic and, very passionate, but I wasn't as wise, and I was more foolish back then. I'm not saying I'm not foolish now, but I was definitely not totally centered around Christ.
I don't think anybody truly knew me before I discovered Christ and before I started a relationship with Him. Even the people that I would consider my closest friends from then, at that point, I don't think really knew me at all.
I chose to follow Jesus because I was so tired of feeling how I felt, like the emptiness that was inside me, and I really had nowhere else to turn, no other idea. I'd run out of ideas of what could possibly make me happy, and what captured me was the idea of eternal acceptance, that was what I had been looking for all this time, and I didn't have to go out and find that from my peers. I could have that no matter who I was.
Well, I accepted Christ at a young age, but it really hit me at a youth camp with my church at Daytona Beach. It really hit me, that I was not living the Christian life, and that the Christian life was awesome, and that it could be fun, and that it was like, it filled that gap.
I'd always considered myself like a Christian, and so going to camp, I assumed like, okay, I'm already a Christian. I don't really need to learn a lot from this. I'm just gonna have fun. And throughout the week, I came to learn that it's completely different to consider yourself a Christian before, and then what I learned through the week. The specific point that I kind of figured that out was 20 minutes of silence, where you just sit by yourself and you get to think and pray and talk to God about it. And that, I feel, is a very powerful time, and that for me was very powerful because it gave me a chance to not listen to what my leaders were telling me or my friends were telling me or what other people were telling me, but to just sit and just talk to God.
Young Life Camp at Windy Gap was an awesome time. I was really able to connect even further with my Young Life friends, and even kids who have never been to Young Life but decided to go to camp.
I chose to follow Jesus at Young Life Camp last summer because I saw God through almost every person there, and especially my best friend Mary, who was the one who got me to go there. Essentially, there was no doubt in my mind after that week was over that God had come to me through her, and I needed to be there.
Joining Young Life in my sophomore year was awesome. My friend invited me since freshman year, but I always had something to do on Monday nights, so I couldn't do it. But then finally, I was able to join my sophomore year, and it was awesome because it gave me just a nice, solid base of Christian friends that I could hang out with at school, and that I could do stuff with out of school and then hang out with at club. So it just provided, friends that, weren't gonna get me in trouble and weren't gonna do things that would mess up with my faith.
People would describe me now as someone who truly loves God, and a lot of people would describe me as the Young Life kid, just because I'm so involved and because I love it so much. It's where I spend a lot of my time focused towards.
The good news of Jesus is that it's just someone who's there for you, who's always there. Who gives you peace. There'll be times when I'm at night, I'm really stressed because of homework or something else. I just turn to him and pray and read his word. And, that's the awesome thing, just having that peace and that sense of mind, knowing that, someone's going through it with you. I want people to see that I'm not just living for myself, that I'm actually, trying to live and represent Christ. I would love it if people didn't have to ask me what religion I was, but rather, just know that there's something different about me and there's something special about me that makes it seem like I'm a Christian.
If I had to pick one thing that to tell people about Jesus, is that when he died on the cross, he died for each and every one of us. And to me, breaking that down means that if Jesus still would have died if it was only to save me.
The biggest thing I would want anyone to know about Jesus is his forgiveness, because that was the hardest thing for me accepting, was that no matter what you do, you are forgiven. Because, like I said, I had the hardest time even forgiving myself over what I had done, and the fact that no matter what you do, you're forgiven for it, because I know every decision, every action I did led me exactly to where I am now, and I couldn't be more thankful.